Let me have this.
Okay.
No, you don't want it.
Of course I don't want it, but let me have it anyway.
I am not seen in this trio very often. Just putting it out there.
He was basically practicing law until his death.
Wow. It's like Kenyon's mom's pregnancy.
Pretty much. She wishes she had a water gap.
Keep rubbing it, she will.
Once again, I'm shocked you've never ended up in court.
Never.
For just a cornucopia of reasons.
I'm very fun.
Someone out there is going, wow, this is interesting and relevant to me.
Viewer discretion is advised. Damn.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You know it.
Absolutely.
Golly
Absolutely.
gee. Yeah. So cute.
Yeah.
So good. So accent.
Okay.
I think some people try the podcast because they think that it's going to be like cutesy, you know?
Oh,
like
no.
ladies drinking
honey, no.
wine and Minnesota.
We're not that. We're a lot of things, but we are not that.
Yeah. I find myself having to tell people, no, it's dark.
Yeah. You don't want this.
Yeah.
We're real dark.
We're fucking weirdos. But
I do have Robin, my squishmallow, with me today.
oh,
She's the cutest part about this episode.
She's
Robin.
adorable.
Show her vagina.
Her labia.
I love her labia.
oh my.
Why do they sew them like this? They all have it.
Oh, you're like,
Mine don't have it that prominently at all.
She also got some pink pen. Ray flew
She
too close to the
menstruated.
pink pen, son, and
Oh,
exploded one.
No.
go back
Got
to
on
her
Robin's bum.
vagina, though, because it looks just like. Are either of you watching the new season of Selling Sunset?
No.
What?
The new?
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Season 6?
I think so.
No, like it just came out.
Oh, then no.
Okay. In the
You didn't scream at her.
well, keep
Are you
up.
watching Vanderpump Rules?
No, I can't.
What?
Okay. In the first episode, somebody has a Louis Vuitton vagina purse, and it looks just like a gold version of your Squishmallow's vagina.
Googling it.
It's
Louis
phenomenal.
Vuitton Vagina.
Okay,
Vaginal
cool.
purse.
Yeah. Do you see? Do you see?
I am not looking it up.
I'll find it.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
upload it.
You find it.
You have to force it upon me.
It's so good. I desperately want it. I don't know how much it costs. I'll never afford it, but it's fine. Okay. So, have we introduced? I'm Kenyon. I want this
see it.
vagina purse that I will never be able to afford.
I see it. I'll drop it on the drive.
Nice.
It does look like Robin's vagina.
I know. Maybe she was
Vaginal
the inspo.
purse. Inspo. She's an influencer. Anyway, did you say your
Yeah, I
name?
did.
don't
I
know.
said my name.
Oh, I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda.
Fuck it. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Okay, we have a very special fan pick this week brought to you by our fan pickers, Megan Williamson and Jessica Southwick.
Oh, Megan, Jess.
Suddick.
Ooh, I don't like that.
Southwick. I don't know. Megan and
Cute.
Jessica. And I don't know if they are attorneys or if they just have a chip on their
Beef.
shoulder. Yeah, exactly. Just bad beef.
Y'all got beef?
Y'all got beef with attorneys? I don't know. But they selected the topic of a-hole attorneys. And my God, were there a lot of cases to choose from.
So many.
Mhm.
Who knew?
Mhm.
Golly gee.
Yes. So,
Oh, I can tell you why. Oh, well, they wanted us to cover the Murdoch case. And I said,
We kind of did that
we already did that.
yeah.
at our live sleepover. Sorry, y'all.
But we
Sorry.
But we got other cases that are really good for you.
yeah.
You're going to be happy.
And I'm doing a case today, kind of.
Yay.
Cute.
All right. Well, first, let's get to our wine crime pairing for a-hole attorneys.
Well, so the gals who picked this topic, either did send and it didn't arrive somehow, or have not yet sent because we're recording ahead their recommended pairing. They had wanted me to pair this with Barrister Winery's Rough Justice Red.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, it looks really good. This is a Columbia Valley, Washington red blend, and it is a blend of primarily Merlot, followed by Syrah, and then Cab Franc, and then there's like mostly those varietals from 2008, and then they also apparently blended in some 2007 Cab Sauv. I did not dive deeply enough to get into the nitty-gritty of why those vintages specifically are so desirable, but apparently they're delicious.
Is it common in blends to blend different years?
I don't think it usually is, because a lot of the time, if it's like it's coming from your winery, you're blending what you harvest, that year. But I do think in some circumstances, blending different years can make sense, because the wine, that you harvest, the different varietals will want to be aged to a different length in barrels or stainless steel to get the desired
effect
flavor profile. So I think it would really just depend on exactly what kind of flavor profile you're looking for, how oaky you want it, etc. But like that is a good question. I don't really know, and I will look into that, but I don't necessarily think so. I don't think it's like a super common practice.
Cool.
But in this particular bottle, it has a very fruit forward flavor. It's going to get that like kind of fruit punch almost, but then it really mellows out very nicely. It's fuller bodied. It has like, it's a little tight. They call it like a young fruit attitude. Like you might want to let this one open up a little bit.
It's tight. It's young.
It's tight. It's young and tight. High and tight. But it does have a little bit of that. Must be real nice. It has a little bit of that like black pepper.
Youth.
Yes. That black pepper spice. So that just kind of mellows out some of like the sweetness. And then when they say that it's like sweet and fruit forward, you're talking like the really rich berry plum, not like fucking cherry Kool-Aid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like baking spice.
It sounds
Mature.
right up my alley. I love a Merlot. I love a Syrah.
It sounds really, really good. It also is a great price. It retails for about $20.
Mm-hmm.
And it does appear to be a popper, so you would want to get your sweet little mitts on a wine key from Wine and Crime Podcast at bigcartel.com. Mm-hmm. And again, I do not have this wine, so I'm actually sipping on a little vodka lemonade moment.
Oh, look at your nails, too. Cute.
Oh, thank you. I also had an Aperol Spritz for lunch. So having a
Did you
real
have
good day
food?
over here. Yes.
The orange wedge
Couldn't
garnish.
remember.
I ate the garnish.
Does the garnish count?
I ate the garnish. No, I did have food. So I could not focus in my house today. So I got up, got like a bunch of shit done, and then I went to have lunch at one of the diners that I like to go right at. And I had like a little salad, and then I was like, I need
a
drink.
I need something.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a good drinking day.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice outside. Then I went to water my plants, and there's this truck parked across the street. I think there's like someone getting repairs done, like water heater repairs.
The FBI.
No, it's not.
It's a wire
because,
wearer truck.
It's not. On the back of their trailer, they have a sign that they clearly printed off of their computer that they then like covered with clear tape. And it is a quote from the Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
Stop.
That reads, "Abortion is healthcare like rape is lovemaking." So I took pictures of their license plate and their truck, and I'm going to drag them on the internet. Stay tuned. Once I figure out where this person is from, they're getting a strongly worded everything from me across all platforms.
Oh my
so
God.
if anyone wants to join me in dragging these fuckers across the coals, I'll give you the details.
I had an opposite level viewing of some decal on a car today. I was at Lowe's returning a fucking faucet because nothing ever works right on the first time. And
Don't get her started.
Don't get her started.
this person's, and I have no idea what this is, so I hope I'm not promoting something horrible, but it says the decal is Instagram and the handle is @PotatoSkinReviews. Nothing else.
Okay, well, sign
It's a
me up
Hyundai
because I
Sonata.
I'm on it.
Potato Skin Reviews.
I love potato
Well, it's like
skins.
the one to tenders chicken tender
I'm
review site.
hoping.
Potato skin reviews.
I love
So-
potato skins. I haven't had a good potato skin.
At potato skin reviews, one word.
Yep.
Follow.
Oh my God.
Reviewer of all things potato skins.
There you go.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
I saw you in the Lowe's parking lot, and your decal worked.
And I want to be your best friend.
Also,
Please at me.
suggested for you, Louisville Sights and Bites.
No, I'm okay.
This person, I hope they get flooded with follows, and they're like, "What the fuck?"
They only have 1,100 followers now, so let's get them.
Let's get them. I hope they're
Potatoes.
not awful. I hope they're not a
Potato
monster.
skin reviews. Skin singular.
Potato skin.
Potato skin reviews.
How can you be that bad if you are just
Right?
reviewing It's all potato skins. Look at their feet.
I love it.
My
I'm so
God.
happy. It's exactly what I thought it would be. Yes. Okay. So that's a win for today. I'll take it.
There are so many. There are
Lucy,
113.
look at their feet.
posts. Seriously.
It's not scroll. Okay. Now.
There's so many.
Do you have potato
Oh my
skins at
God.
Lachelle's?
No,
Not yet.
You
And
gotta have
now
do a special and reach out. Do a collab.
I'm upset. Yes, do a collab, please.
Okay, all right. Moving on. This is an episode. A-hole attorneys. We did the pairing.
No, it's potato skin crimes now. Scrap
Is
your
this
nose.
the car?
Yes.
Wait, let me see it.
That's a big bumper sticker. It says, didn't need MTV to pimp my ride. Thanks at Unified Sign for the upgrade to Potato Skin Mobile.
Maybe
Hashtag potato
maybe I
skins.
should do that
Hashtag
for
potato
one
skin
crime on
reviews.
my car.
Do it.
Hashtag potato. Hashtag cheese. Hashtag bacon.
I do love potatoes.
Holy shit. The hashtags are on
I'm
point.
sending it to you too.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Lucy. I'm drawing you away.
No,
Put your phone down.
What is
Get your
Jeez,
finger out of
teacher.
Robin's vagina and put your
It's
phone
not
down.
in her vagina.
It's in her
very
anus.
shallow. Look how shallow it is.
You
It looks like a
couldn't
belly
even butt
button
that.
now.
It does.
Okay, what the fuck is our background and maybe psych for a-hole attorneys?
One of these days, I propose we have a gal's pick where we go all in on a topic, but then we just scrap it and do this for 2
the
hours.
whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scroll through potato skin Instagram, poke at a fucking Squishmallow's vagina.
I'm pretty sure that's just a Patreon happy hour.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you're right, it is. Never mind, we do that every month. Okay,
Not a
next.
vagina. It's the labia majora, technically.
Sorry. That looks like the menorah to me. She's small.
Yeah. Menorah.
Your
Oh, no.
labia majora is majorally showing right now, Robin.
You're majorly showing. Okay.
I had to say that to an employee once at a restaurant I used to work
You
because
didn't have to say that.
oh, I did because
I
how
had
else?
to say
how
this to
else?
an employee.
I had to because how else was I going to alert her that her camel toe was so prominent that it broke dress code without like trying to make it funny? I was like, honey, I love comfort as much as the next person, but your labia majora is majorly showing, and we're gonna need you to put a skirt or something on over that bad boy.
Once again,
Okay.
I'm shocked you've never ended up in court
Never.
for just a cornucopia of reasons.
I'm very fun.
Ah, the charisma keeps her
Yeah.
safe. All right.
Oh, God. Okay. So, asshole attorneys. Did we say the topic? I
Yes.
wasn't listening. Okay. I was looking at potato skins.
So fucking off the rails.
We often use the word attorney and lawyer interchangeably, but there is a difference between the two. So let's look at the two words from an etymological standpoint and really dork out about it.
Let's.
Which is my favorite thing to do.
Let's
This is
play
from
solitaire during Lucy's.
I'm going to
a
file my
solitaire
nails.
window is open and ready for Kenyon's
John,
segment.
mute me if you have to.
What are you doing?
File my nails? Is it too much?
No, it's fine.
I think so. Are
Just
you filing
don't-
it
just
with
don't-
your tech deck?
No, I should.
Just don't hold your thing
Next to the
right
mic.
next to the mic and you'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Okay.
Who gives a shit?
Okay. This is from onlinemastersoflegalstudies.com.
Wow, okay.
The word lawyer has Middle English origins and refers to someone who is educated and trained in law. Lawyers are people who may or who have gone to law school and may have taken or passed the bar exam.
May? They don't
May
have to?
Mm-mm.
Weird.
Attorney has French origins and stems from a word meaning to act on the behalf of others. The term attorney is an abbreviated form of the formal title attorney at law. An attorney is someone who is not only trained and educated in law, but also practices it in court. So an attorney is a practicing lawyer, basically.
Okay.
Lawyers might take on roles as consultants or advisors and may also practice in specialized fields like immigration, estate law, or tax law. Attorneys are actively practicing law in a specific jurisdiction.
Okay. I think I understand the difference.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like we really recently did Bad Barristers. So I don't want to beat a dead legal professional here. So instead, I'm going to give you some background information on one of the more infamous ex-attorneys in the United States, Rudy motherfucking Giuliani.
Oh, snap. That dude fucking sucks.
Yeah, and turns out he's always sucked. Okay. Rudolph William Louis Giuliani was born on May 28th, 1944. He's a Gemini.
Oh no, his birthday is only 4 days after Bill and many years before.
I think it'll be okay.
I don't
think
know.
Bill
and
has a
Rudy
single
Giuliani,
thing
yeah,
in
they don't
common.
have
They're both
anything.
Geminis.
Okay, that's
That's
it.
a big
only thing they have in common.
Bill's name is William.
That's not. Oh, middle
Rudy
name.
Giuliani.
Okay.
William Giuliani. Let me have this.
Okay.
No, you don't want it.
Of course I don't want it, but let me
Okay.
have it anyway.
Rudy Giuliani was born in Brooklyn, the only child to Helen and Harold Giuliani. His parents were working class Italian immigrants, so he was raised a Roman Catholic. His father worked as a plumber and a bartender, but he had trouble holding down a job, and at one point was convicted of felony assault and robbery and served time in Sing Sing prison.
Okay. All right.
Upon his release, Harold began working as an enforcer for his brother-in-law, Leo Diavanzo, who ran a mob-affiliated loan sharking and gambling ring.
Did not know any of this. This is juicy.
Also, his mom was a complete supporter of Mussolini
Yeah. So,
before they moved from Italy.
so Giuliani and Trump actually have kind of a lot in common.
Honey, we are not even close
Yeah.
to getting to the similarities.
Okay.
So basically, we're off to a great start here. Rudy attended Manhattan College in the Bronx, where he majored in political science and philosophy and considered becoming a priest. Can you imagine?
I honestly don't know if the world would have been better or worse off.
I mean, I think this just goes to show that the priesthood is just as corrupt as any other field. Did you see the news about the diocese in Illinois?
No, but I can infer.
That there were like more than 1,900 documented case of child abuse.
Jesus fucking Christ. It never
Anyway.
ends.
Oh, no. And I'm sure that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
It's so many kids. Oh, my God. Okay. So I thought this was interesting. Rudy joined I don't know how to say this because I was never in a Greek anything, the Phi Rho Pi Honor Society.
Probably Phi.
Phi Rho Pi.
Yeah. Boo. Fuck
an
that
honor
guy.
society.
Phi Rho Pi.
which specialized in forensic extemporaneous speech and debate, which essentially means he became a really good bullshitter when it came to legal arguments.
Yeah.
So like extemporaneous debate, meaning you don't
On your
have
feet.
anything, you don't have anything memorized.
Bullshitting.
It's just a constant stream of arguing.
No
out
wonder
of
he
your
and
own
Trump
brain.
are such besties. And to think that,
Right.
like, Rudy Giuliani's insane ramblings are the sensical ones compared to his bestie, Don Don.
Compared.
I mean, he got
Compare. I
so
made
he-
that choice intentionally.
he's very educated. He graduated from college in 1965 and went on to get his Juris Doctor from the NYU School of Law in 1968. So Rudy started out as a Democrat, don't they all? Volunteering for Robert F. Kennedy's presidential campaign and also working as Democratic Party committeeman on Long Island through the mid-1960s. And he voted for George McGovern in 1972. After grad school, he got a job as a clerk for a district judge in New York, specifically the Southern District of New York. Here's a fun side note for us. Because he was enrolled in college, he did not have to serve in the Vietnam War. And then because he got a job for a judge, he was reclassified as a, quote, essential civilian and avoided the draft once again.
Lucky
And
him.
then And then in 1970, when he was no longer working for this judge, he was reclassified for a second time back down to a normal person. I think they called it a 1A citizen.
Oh no, he's a normie again.
Uh-oh.
He's a normie again, but he avoided the draft for a third time because he happened to draw a high lottery number and was not called up for service,
Okay.
which was perhaps a bit fishy considering his connection.
Oh, okay. Or benefit of the doubt.
Could have been good luck.
Yeah.
Could have been fishy.
I'm also like hesitant to critique draft dodgers because
Because who wants to be drafted?
Right, exactly. And if it was a bullshit war and
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not necessarily criticizing him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, given the rest of his shit,
it's just another
it wasn't
thing.
like
Of
a
all the
conscientious objection situation.
Of all the people to dodge the draft, I kind of wish Rudy hadn't. There I said it.
And
Fucking at me.
The
I
way
don't
that
care.
Trump dodged the draft was
So gross.
particularly egregious by just getting his daddy to help him make up a fucking injury that he couldn't even bother to remember his cover story about his injury. But anyway, that's annoying.
I just bring that up because it's another parallel with
Yep.
Donald Trump.
Yep.
In 1975, Rudy went to Washington to serve as an associate deputy attorney associate deputy attorney general under the Ford administration. So
Bill
he had to
Ford
switch.
tough.
So he had to switch from a Democrat to an independent in order to do this, basically.
Okay, so he's just
Between
been
all-
in all the parties.
Yeah, he's dipping all of his toes.
Between 1977 and 1981, he practiced law at a private firm and became known as kind of an asshole in court. So he would hammer his defendants. His former boss later criticized several prosecutions as, quote, overkill. As soon as Reagan was elected, Giuliani switched parties once again to Republican,
There we
not so he could find jobs within the Justice Department in the new administration.
He's
His
like a
own-
rat fleeing a sinking ship.
Yeah.
He's just so disingenuous. His own mother said in 1988 that he, quote, only became a Republican after he began to get all these jobs from them. He's definitely not a conservative Republican. He thinks he is, but he isn't. He still feels very sorry for the poor.
Sure, Mom.
That's according to his
Oh
mother.
my God. Okay.
But also his mom ratted him out for he's only doing it to get
To
a
get
job.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that, Mom, but come on.
Yeah, but don't worry.
A
He
mother's
lost
love.
any of that empathy you thought he had long ago.
Yeah.
In 1981, Giuliani was named Associate Attorney General in the Reagan administration, which was the third highest position in the Department of Justice. As Associate Attorney General, Giuliani supervised, this is horrible, the U.S. Attorney Office's federal law enforcement agencies, the Department of Corrections, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the U.S. Marshals.
Jesus, that is too much power.
A lot of power. Yeah.
Don't like that.
One of his first cases was defending the government for their decision to detain more than 2,000 Haitian asylum seekers, arguing that, quote, political repression, at least in general, does not exist under the president of Haiti at the time, Jean-Claude Duvalier's regime. So a quick note about that guy. Thousands of Haitians were killed or tortured, and hundreds of thousands fled the country during his presidency.
Was that Papa Doc or whatever?
It's Baby Doc, his son.
Yeah, not a good guy. Not a good look.
Extraordinarily corrupt. Like, for example, he lived in the lap of luxury, state-sponsored luxury.
Right. While
The
his
government-
constituents starved and died in the fucking street.
Oh, just rank corruption and
so tragic.
like extrajudicial arrests and yeah.
In 1980, this guy took $2 million of like the country's money to pay for his own wedding.
Yeah.
$2 million in 1980.
That's a lot. That could have fed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Could have fed the country.
Yep.
So Giuliani was like, no, they
Not
just
our
came
problem.
here because these are illegals.
Yeah, but at the same time, love the Cuban immigrants because they vote Republican.
In 1983, Rudy was appointed U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. So this was the same office that he was a clerk for in the late 60s. And as Wikipedia notes, quote, this was technically a demotion from where he had been previously, like in charge of all those departments. But this position was sought by Giuliani because of his desire to personally litigate cases and because the SDNY is considered the highest profile U.S. attorney's office in the country, and as such is often used by those who have held positions and as such is often used by those who have held the position as a springboard for running for public office.
Yep.
He wanted
He also-
eyes on him.
Well, he was gunning for a fucking presidency.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is what he wanted. And long before 9/11. 9/11 was like what he thought was his fucking golden ticket.
Right.
We'll
But-
get to
Which
9/11.
is
Yeah.
fucked to
So
even
fucked
think.
up.
Yeah.
He's been a disgusting fucking ladder climber his whole fucking life.
America's mayor.
So this was in 83. He also popularized the perp walk during this time. So like walking people from the car up to the courthouse with all the media. He just loved using the media as a tool to
Well,
advance whatever he
Still
wanted.
holding out hope he'll get his own someday.
His own
He
tool.
worked.
His own perp
He-
walk.
He worked a shitload of high-profile RICO cases during this time, such as the prosecution of several members of the five families, so like New York area crime families.
Ironic.
He just wanted to look like a hard ass. In fact, it came out in 2007 that the heads of the families had seriously discussed having Giuliani killed in the 80s, but obviously that didn't happen.
Well, in the 70s and 80s, like, New York was under such international
Infamy.
scrutiny and infamy for crime.
Yeah.
Even, and to the point where it was like a little bit overinflated, many would say, looking back on it. But like that, it was like New York was known. You know, you watch
Bad
any
crime.
documentary about the fucking Zodiac killer, and it's like, you know, New York in the 70s.
Yeah.
You couldn't walk down the street without being shot in the face. And
The
so.
Zodiac killer in like San Francisco.
Yeah,
though.
whatever. The fucking son of Sam
That's
is what
what
I
she
meant.
meant.
But
Son of
anyway,
Sam.
but so yeah, he just like glommed on to that already existing public opinion and then was like this tough on crime fucking dude
Yep.
to launch himself to the top of the political ladder. It was so fucking gross.
He also took credit for a lot of the decline in crime, even though it was like a national trend. It had very little to do with his actual policies, which we're about to get to.
And he exploited poor people and people of color to do it.
We're about to get to it. So Rudy was also behind a lot of shenanigans, such as having people arrested and then dropping the charges because there was a lack of evidence, but like way more frequently than is normal, just to damage people's reputations and spark controversy and get into the media.
Yeah, get the perp walk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
and then
he
people
also
often don't follow up and go like, oh, I wonder what happened to that guy. They
Yeah,
see
it's
the
just-
big,
Of course
shiny
not.
arrest,
Yeah.
Yep, of course not.
and that's all you need.
Yeah, he didn't even need the prosecutorial win. He just needed the perp
The
walk.
picture in the paper, yeah.
He also really liked to arrest alleged white-collar criminals in their offices to embarrass them in front of their entire company.
That I'm okay with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so a
not
lot
gonna
of these
make a
people
fuss.
As long as they are
probably
guilty.
weren't guilty at all.
Right.
They were just political adversaries.
Right. Then obviously that's fucked up. But
And then one example was a guy who he had arrested purposely late at night just so he had to spend the night in jail. And then the next morning they're like, yeah, we actually have nothing on you. Bye.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a
he was
common
just-
tactic, too. Arresting people on a Friday
Yeah,
evening
so
so
they
they
have
can't
to-
get out till Monday.
Yeah.
Spend the whole weekend in jail.
We
It
need
sucks.
to amend that. It's fucked up. Like, how is
If cops have to work on the weekend, why can't they fucking release you on the weekend,
Right.
too?
Judges don't have to work on weekends.
I know.
we
it's
should
just
have
bullshit.
some judges that do. Like, it's not that
Yeah.
hard to like set up a schedule. Have
If the
a
fucking
weekend
bartender
judge.
at Applebee's has to work on Saturday, a judge can do it every fucking once in a while.
And I just don't see like the constitutionality of holding someone for longer than you would hold a different person on the exact
Right.
same charge
doesn't make any sense.
just because
it's a weekend.
yeah.
because of administrative
Right.
things.
Like that
It's bullshit.
should be unconstitutional.
Mhm.
Whatever, it's fine.
By
I'm
the
a
end of
lawyer,
the night-
basically. Not
lawyer
an
or an
attorney.
I'm a lawyer. I'm not an attorney.
By the end of the 1980s, Rudy felt that he had built up enough political cred in New York City to run for mayor. Ironically, during a televised debate, Rudy argued that his opponent, David Dinkins, had not filed several years' worth of tax returns and had unethically transferred stock to his son. What an evil man. Don't vote for that guy.
No one ever does that in the Republican Party.
So he lost that race. 4
Also,
years
what
later,
was that guy's last name? Scott
Dinkins.
Dookie or
David
whatever.
Dinkins.
Yeah, that's not the best name to run on. I'm sorry, Dookie. I don't know what
He
your
won.
deal
He
is.
won.
Oh,
Dinkins.
oh,
Mayor
I thought you were.
Dinkins.
Well, then never mind. Congrats, Dookie.
He won.
Scratch that. Listen, I've had 2 drinks for lunch. It's fine.
4 years later, in 1993, Rudy ran again, promising to clean up the city and focus police resources on shutting down petty crimes. This is a quote from him. "It's the street tax paid to drunks and panhandlers. It's the squeegee men shaking down the motorist waiting at a light. It's the trash storms, the swirling mass of garbage left by peddlers and panhandlers and open-air drug bazaars on unclean streets."
There is a lot of garbage, but it's like mostly businesses.
Remember when we played
creating it.
Remember when we played garbage or Halloween decorations?
Yes,
when we were in New York.
So many plastic bags hanging from trees looking like an
like
intentional
torn
ghost.
plastic
And
bags.
then sometimes it was ghost decoration.
Sometimes it really
Yeah.
was. It's a hard fucking game in October in Brooklyn. Let me tell you. It's really fun.
On election day, Giuliani's campaign hired off-duty cops, firefighters, and corrections officers to monitor polling places in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx for cases of voter fraud.
Oh,
Isn't
cool.
that's illegal. That's fucking like
Intimidation.
Well, does it sound
Voter
fucking
intimidation.
familiar?
Yeah.
It's what's
Oh,
happened in the
1000%.
last several elections.
Mhm.
So he won the election, performing particularly well in majority white neighborhoods. A quote from an anonymous source who worked for him, quote, "He always overdoes things. We were just playing to our rabid base."
Yikes.
As mayor, Rudy encouraged the police to take an aggressive stance against even minor infractions of the law. Even litterers, jaywalkers, and reckless cab drivers were ticketed as lawbreakers. He also cracked way down on relatively minor offenses such as graffiti, turnstile jumping, cannabis possession, and aggressive panhandling. So that's what he called the squeegee men.
Jesus.
This campaign earned him the nickname the Nanny of New York.
Ew. That's so gross.
He was a petty mayor, refusing to meet with foreign dignitaries if he didn't agree with their politics. and threatening to defund the Brooklyn Museum of Art in 1999 over an exhibit called Sensation, Young British Artists from the Saatchi Collection, calling it, quote, sick stuff.
What a fucking loser.
Because he didn't like the fucking art?
He didn't like he did not like the art. People were complaining
God.
about the art, which is part of an exhibit called Sensation.
Yeah.
So the Daily News described the exhibit as, quote, brimming with animals sliced in half and graphic paintings and sculptures of corpses and sexually mutilated bodies.
Ooh, there's a
Sounds rad.
coffee table book you can get of it. And the cover is someone with their tongue out and it's like pointy. And then an iron from like an ironing board.
I want to look
Cool.
at this. What was it called?
Sensation, Young British Artists from the Saatchi Collection. There are a couple of photos on the drive, which will be on the blog, of some protests and also of the outside of the museum. You can see their signage.
Ooh.
But one of the pieces was Chris O'Feely's The Holy Virgin Mary, which plays off classical iconography depicting the Virgin Mary as a black woman made of elephant dung and set against a shimmering gold background replete with women's butts cut out from porno magazines.
I see it. Do you want me to drop a picture of it?
Amazing.
Yes.
This
It's
actually
really
looks like
fucking
a
cool.
killer collection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this looks amazing.
But a bunch of Karens were like, this is inappropriate. We shouldn't be using funds for blah, 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 blah. So Rudy Giuliani was like, yeah, this is gross. I'm going to completely pull funding from this museum.
Dumb.
It didn't happen, but like that was a whole thing.
Oh my God.
So in the article, I also found a great quote from Norman Siegel, former executive director of the Civil Liberties Union's New York branch, and also Rudy's former classmate at NYU. He said, quote, I was shocked when I heard Giuliani was going to run for mayor because my recollection of Rudy Giuliani was that he was not a people person.
You don't say.
An American Bar Association article described how, quote, law professors in New York and elsewhere have been thanking Mayor Rudolph Giuliani for constantly generating classroom hypotheticals for teaching the First Amendment.
Yeah, because he kept infringing on it. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. In 1998, four-term incumbent Democratic U.S. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan announced his retirement, and Giuliani immediately indicated an interest in running in the 2000 election for the now open U.S. Senate seat because he was ineligible to run for mayor of New York for a third term.
Right.
So he's like, well, I can't run again. I might as well run for U.S. Senate. He was running against Hillary Clinton, who was beating him in the polls, thus establishing his distaste for the former First Lady. So that was, as far as I can tell, the first time he was just like, lock her up.
I hate that bitch.
In April of 2000, he learned he had prostate cancer, and the country learned that he had been cheating on his wife, which led to his divorce. So he was
Bye-bye.
somewhat disgraced
Hope your
and dropped out of the
butthole's okay.
race, but
Bye.
but called it because he said it was because of his health, but also like he also got called out for being a complete fucking dipshit.
Probably the only
1000%.
time that prostate cancer was ever convenient.
Probably. Because it does
also-
not sound fun.
I also read that like his wife was completely blindsided by the divorce being announced in the press.
Oh
She's like,
my
wait,
God.
what?
Jesus.
What a cunt. Him, not her.
Yeah.
On September 11th, 2001, New York City became the scene of the deadliest terrorist attack in the United States after hijackers flew commercial airplanes into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, killing some 2,800 people.
Ever heard of it?
Giuliani drew high praise for his handling of the situation, and there were calls that he run for a third term, even though, like I said, that was against the law. People were just like,
For people who like weren't alive during this or were very young and don't remember, like I feel like it's probably hard to understand and look back on what it was like, but it really was kind of an earth-shattering
It absolutely
event
It
and
changed
time.
It changed
the
fucking
entire
everything.
country,
Yeah.
every aspect of our culture today.
It really did. It shaped so much. And so like these, like just the absolute like frenzy that was whipped up of like support, you know, Giuliani and like
the patriotism
The
was
patriotism-
so, it was fucking everywhere.
it was so amped up. It was such a
Like,
It was
I don't remember
weird.
seeing American flags nearly as prevalent just around
Yeah.
before 9/11.
Yeah.
It just like wasn't a thing.
Right. It just changed so much. And so like these calls for him to like run for a third term, or even though that like previously wasn't going to be allowed, like it only makes sense in that context because people were so whipped up.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it was almost everyone. Like the Democrats were just as much
Absolutely.
in on it.
Yeah. And for
He
a
was
time,
a pop culture icon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he really
for a
was.
time, it was like a very politically unifying moment, although Bush kind of stirred that pot as well. But
Yeah, Iraq fucking ended that. But yeah, for like 2 years, it was a pretty politically like unified, centrist, patriotic,
Totally.
rah 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 thing.
it was an interesting time to be a teenager. Let's just say that.
I feel like we talked about this recently when that Rudy Giuliani came to our school because there was some sort of Republican committee
Convention or whatever.
event that they happened to use our theater for because it was like a brand new, really nice theater at a rich public high school. And he made an appearance at our pep rally. And I shook his hand because I was taking pictures for the newspaper, and it was clammy and weak and just sad. And he did not
Ew.
make eye contact with whoever he was speaking to. He icked me out big time that day. And I remember being surprised because I was like, you're supposed to be like this.
You're Rudy
Public
Giuliani. He was a
figure,
big
yeah.
fucking deal. He was a household name.
I was kind of excited to meet him, but it was like, oh, you're kind of pathetic.
Protested his visit, but it was a lot of people. I don't know. It was just a weird time.
Were you with me at the actual event? Because we wore John Kerry pins and we were told to take them off by like the staff. Or was that Scott?
I think that was
someone.
Scott. I think I
I
was
don't
like
think I was even at
protesting
that pep rally.
outside the building.
'Cause,
I think you protested the entire thing, but I was with someone who we got to go to the event itself. And I wish I remembered who else was there. Because there are probably people I didn't recognize then, but I probably would now.
I think wasn't it after Paul Wellstone died in the plane crash, and then
it was like 3
Norm
years after that.
Coleman was running for Senate, and the Republicans were doing like a really big push to try to win.
It was way after that. It must have been 2 years after that.
I don't remember.
At least.
Whatever. This is probably very boring for the listeners. But yeah, it was a weird fucking time is all I'm trying to say. And I don't think you can really understand looking at what he is today, how
Right.
big of a deal
what he was. Yeah.
he was, and almost in a non-controversial way post 9/11.
The curtain was still thick.
Not like
at the
not
time.
controversial, but like super mainstreamed.
Basically, everything that he was known for controversially leading up to 9/11 was almost like erased in one fell swoop because of him being in charge.
He got the
during
bump of all
that
bumps
attack.
from this like
Exactly.
horrific thing that he also had like nothing to do with, and it's not like he really did do that great of a job handling it. I don't understand.
Well, we'll get to his handling of it in just a minute. Okay, so people were saying, oh, he should run for a third term, whatever, got this mega popularity boost. He decided not to run for a third term, I think just because he was like, oh, I'm not going to run.
I'm not going to try to change the law.
It's
So I
illegal.
can
And he also recognized that now, because of this huge bump, he could do way more. He could do way more.
He wanted to
Like,
make money. His
Yeah.
salary as mayor was peanuts, and he couldn't become a senator because he lost.
He knew he could get into the presidential game after this point
and
because of his
speaking fees
reputation.
and consulting fees. He could actually start to like make boku bucks.
So he probably didn't actually have any interest in rerunning for mayor, even if it was legal. So he received an honorary knighthood from Queen Elizabeth for his efforts in the wake of the attacks. Giuliani said he had been at ground zero, quote, as often, if not more, than most workers. I was there working with them. I was exposed to exactly the same things they were exposed to.
That explains it.
you.
So in
He's
that
trying to-
sense,
that explains-
so in
he's
that
trying
sense,
to appropriate the fucking horrific health ramifications that those first responders went through, years of deadly cancers. Like, it's so fucked up that he even...
To finish the quote, so in that sense, I'm one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, of course. Of course that's the shit that he's going to say.
It's very Trumpian of him.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fucking disgusting. There are folks still now who were at ground zero pulling people out of rubble that like
Dying
are not
because of
being
that.
are dying and do not receive proper medical care because the Republican government has cut all of their fucking funding. Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. The Republicans love to point at 9/11, but the bravery of the first responders.
But they don't love to give them any funding or
No,
help.
It's the same thing with veterans.
Yeah.
Watch
support our troops till they come home.
Exactly.
And don't
Fucking
get
Jon
health care
Stewart
or mental
works-
health care, or they end up on the streets or whatever.
Yeah, Jon Stewart works really hard to campaign for first responders from 9/11 who are still to this day suffering from extreme cancers and are not getting any fucking support from the government to cover their cost of treatment. And many of them are bankrupt or like becoming literally homeless because they can't afford their medical bills. This is America.
Okay.
And
so
priced
here's
out of the
something.
city that they helped save.
Correct.
Okay, so here's something I didn't know. As mayor, Rudy put the Office of Emergency Management headquarters on the 23rd floor of one of the World Trade Center towers. So this was obviously before 9/11. This was in like 1996 or 7 or something. As you may recall, in 1993, there was a terrorist attack in the form of a bombing in one of the towers, right in front of one of the towers, orchestrated by an al-Qaeda-related extremist group, which killed 6 people and injured over 1,000. So their intention was to blow up one building and make it topple into the other building and like fall over and like basically destroy the southern tip of Manhattan. That was their intention.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't happen. So critics saw Rudy's decision to put the Office of Emergency Management
In
on
a
the
target.
23rd floor of one of the towers.
Yep.
They saw this as just inviting another terrorist attack, especially because large tanks of fuel were stored in the building in order to power the command center.
Is that real? Is that true?
Yes. No, I made it up.
Well, I thought I'd heard that before, but I thought that part was a conspiracy theory, the like fuel tanks in the World Trade Center, but I didn't really look into it.
Well, it's the emergency communications headquarters.
needed, like, diesel generators.
If the electricity went down, they need fuel to run.
To operate.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
In 1997, in response to this criticism, Rudy blamed one of his employees, a guy named Jeremy Hauer. But Hauer had fucking receipts in the form of a 1996 memo that showed him specifically pushing for a location in Brooklyn, stating, quote, "The Brooklyn building is secure and not as visible a target as buildings in Lower Manhattan." In 1998, the New York City Police Department also opposed the location, and Rudy's administration just completely ignored it and overrode both of these people's opinions.
Why did he want it there? Was it just like cheaper
Probably
rent or?
He probably just wanted everything in a prime location. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I could totally see Trump doing that.
Yeah.
It's a more prime real estate.
Trump would want it in Trump Tower so he could
He totally
benefit
would.
from the lease, but it's
Yep,
fine.
Exactly.
Well, there's no Giuliani
Right.
towers, but this is
Right.
pretty close. So there were 2 different parties, one of which being the New York City Police, being like, we don't think this is a good idea at all. So Rudy's like, too bad, this is what we're doing. In addition, his office was responsible this office, the emergency systems office, was responsible for not changing out the analog radios that had been deemed ineffective in the 1993 bombing. And these were the same radios that were in use on September 11th.
Jeez.
They weren't working properly when the fire chiefs ordered the 323, I think it was 343, the 300-some firefighters inside the towers to evacuate before the towers collapsed. So the chiefs were like, get the fuck out of
Yeah,
there.
it's gonna collapse, and the radios,
radios
weren't working.
transmission didn't even go through.
The radios weren't working.
Fuck.
So
And they knew for fucking years that they were not working.
there was
Almost
something
a
about
decade.
how they They ordered more radios, but the new radios started to malfunction. So instead of just immediately replacing them with a third set of radios, they went back to the 1993 radios.
Cool. Makes sense.
Giuliani testified during the 9/11 commission that the firefighters had heard the command but stayed inside in order to save lives. They were just being brave. They heard it, but they were just
And
being
he would
brave.
know because
Had
he's
nothing to do with
basically
it. He was
one of
there.
them.
Yeah, he's one of
He's an
them.
honorary firefighter.
Yeah.
He's got the physique for it.
Despite nationally being recognized generally as America's mayor post 9/11, Rudy had plenty of critics, rightfully so. Al Sharpton stated, quote, "You didn't bring us together. Our pain brought us together, and our decency brought us together. We would have come together if Bozo was the mayor. He was a
Correct.
power-hungry person."
Yep.
So I can't even go into all the Trump shit and the anti-Semitism and the selling pardons and forcing oral sex from his employees or the Four Seasons or the hair dye or the alcoholism or the voter fraud or the unpaid wages or the Borat thing. So
Or the
instead,
fact that recently,
Oh my God, I forgot about the Borat thing.
he accidentally
there's
kept
just so much.
like a live stream going on his thing for
No,
like
he
half
did not.
an hour.
Well, he ordered
He
lunch.
pocket dialed the entire country,
Yeah,
the
he
internet,
basically
the entire
butt dialed
internet.
the
He just
internet.
he just didn't hang up.
Yeah.
He just fully didn't
He
hang up
forgot
and
to
just
hang up
sat
on a
there and
Facebook Live
ordered
for-
lunch.
Yeah. That happened like last week.
Yeah.
My very sweet soon-to-be mother-in-law accidentally sent like the whole Hoban family a Marco Polo of her like in her pocket while cleaning out her closet, and I had like absolute terror that I was gonna accidentally like overhear a sex act, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was so cute, but like, so I like tuned in to watch it, and I quickly realized like, oh, she has no idea she's on Marco Polo right now. And then like, for her privacy, I was like, I should hang up. And then I went to check it later, and it had been going for like 15 minutes.
You didn't text her?
No. She was busy. I texted her later. She was
Out of
clearly in the middle of
decency,
something.
I didn't text her.
I mean,
I'm decent.
do it for the gram.
It's the best I could do is be decent.
Oh my God.
So because I don't even have time to go into any recent shit, I'll close us out with a little bit of psych. This is from a personality profile from the Unit for the Study of Personality in Politics from our very own St. John St. Ben's, which is Blortney's alma mater.
God.
Oh,
St.
cute.
Ben's.
Bennies and Jannies.
Giuliani's primary personality pattern is dominant aggressive, with secondary features of the conscientious/dutiful and ambitious/confident patterns. The combination of highly dominant and conscientious patterns in Giuliani's profile suggests an aggressive enforcer personality composite.
Much like his father, who was a literal enforcer for the mob.
An
Oh,
aggressive enforcer. Leaders with that particular personality profile are characteristically tough and uncompromising, with a forceful style that permits them to take charge in times of crisis. However, they are not known for being very diplomatic. Giuliani's major personality strength in a high-level leadership role is a forceful, commanding personality style that permits him to take charge in times of crisis and inspire public confidence. His major personality-based limitation is a controlling everything else. Is a controlling, occasionally punitive tendency to control, which may foster divisiveness and animosity. So to end, here's a 2018 quote from Rudy himself. Quote, "I don't care about my legacy. I'll be dead."
God willing.
I mean, that's how I feel.
That doesn't
But
sum it up.
don't-
I don't know what.
But I don't have
does.
like a bunch of power over a lot of really important fucking.
You haven't based your entire identity on being like a trustworthy leader.
Correct.
Quite the
Let's
opposite,
just
really.
hope he gets
Truly the
disbarred.
opposite.
That's all we can hope for at this point.
I want him to accidentally fall down a manhole. That's what I hope for.
Sometimes death is a mercy.
During
Sometimes
his
death
perp
is a
walk.
mercy. Yes, during a perp walk, he falls in a manhole and he just disappears. That'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Holy
And then New York
shit.
rats eat him up.
Oh,
Ooh, the
snatch
big
'em.
ones.
Delish.
Okay,
Dinner
that's my
time, boys.
That's my segment.
Wow.
Supper time.
I'm even angrier than I was at the start of this episode.
Oh, good.
He is an asshole attorney.
Wow.
And he
Yeah.
was, in fact, a practicing attorney. So
There you go.
fits.
Well done.
Oh, also, he's been disbarred. He's been like prohibited from practicing law.
Has he?
I don't.
Like recently, yeah. In the
Was
state
he-
of New York, anyway, because of the voter fraud allegations.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm
So
sure we'll
he's
revisit.
not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I said, couldn't get to all the recent shit because there's so much recent shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my guy that I chose, that I did to myself.
My guy.
My guy.
My guy. What up, my guy?
He's basically he just thinks that like the sun shines out of his ass and that he can just have his cake and eat it too, and there will never be any consequences, and he's a monster.
Yum.
Okay.
Sounds so good.
Did we both cover Giuliani?
But we could have. There's a lot to cover. All three of us could have covered Rudy Giuliani.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, so Thomas Capano, and I'm going to have to remember to pronounce it Capano.
Okay.
Thomas Capano was born on October 11th, 1949 in the most forgettable state, Delaware. He was...
I forgot we had a Dela-Where.
Dela-Where?
Dela who? Delaware?
He was the oldest of four brothers in a prominent and affluent family. His father, Louis Capano, was a home builder, and his side of the family was involved in real estate development and building construction.
Mob.
That's I thought that at first I was like, this sounds like The Sopranos.
Waste management.
Yeah.
Exactly, but maybe I'm just being
I don't know. My uncle's in
racist.
construction.
Yeah. I don't know.
Got an Uncle Chucky who works in
He builds
construction.
buildings.
Uncle Chucky.
Well, young Tommy Capano, not to be confused with Zach's
Soprano.
childhood friend, Tommy Patano.
Oh my God. Okay.
Zach has all these stories about
Tommy Patano.
my boy Tommy Patano, Tommy Patano's stoop. Anyway,
Oh my God. Your husband is out of a comic book.
Nope. Accurate.
so Tommy Capano always had his eye on the law. Eventually, Capano becomes a big-time lawyer in Wilmington, if that isn't too much of an oxymoron. And over time, he works as a state prosecutor, then Wilmington city attorney, legal counsel to the governor, and finally a political consultant. So he's kind of a big deal in Delaware political circles. And unfortunately, he was a Democrat, but like, we can't win them all. In 1994, Capano was a partner at the Wilmington office of Saul Ewing LLP, which is apparently a huge law firm that has tons of offices like up and down the East Coast. And here I went down a rabbit hole of Googling white shoe law firms because I thought
White shoe?
white shoe is like the term for like old school, well-established fancy pants law firms.
Oh, who knew?
Because I thought that I would recognize some of them. And turns out I only recognized like two. And the one that I really thought I knew was Gage Whitney, which is where the character of Sam Seaborn from The West Wing worked. But turns out that's fucking fictional. So who knew?
Who knew that law firm from the West Wing was fictional?
Yeah. Someone out there is going, wow, this is interesting and relevant to me.
Yeah. That our one listener in Delaware.
I am not seen in this trio very often. Just putting it out there.
Oh my God. You're seeing fucking plenty.
I'm othered. Don't other me.
I'm othered.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
the West Wing. Okay,
Just start watching Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah.
start watching
Want
the
to be
West
part
Wing.
of it so bad. That show has not been on in a
Is it
long
you who
time.
logs
It'd be
into my
real easy.
HBO? Do you use my HBO
Yeah.
and watch West Wing?
Yes.
It's always on my recently watched, and I didn't know who did it until
now
just now.
caught wing-handed.
It's me and Zach. It's our comfort
I'm sorry,
show.
not HBO. Max.
Oh, so stupid. Okay.
God.
Okay, so
Life.
he works at this law firm. Okay, he's a partner at this law firm. During this time, he meets Anne-Marie Fahey, who was the then governor's appointments secretary. He's like cozy with the governor, so he meets his secretary. With Capano so active in Democratic politics, the two start running in the same circles. They're going to events and fundraisers and whatever things
He
that
and the secretary?
Yes.
Oh.
And they have an instant attraction. Capano, though, is already married with 4 daughters. And of course, the fact that he was 45 when they met and Anne-Marie was 28 didn't seem to bother him.
No.
He tells her, surprise, surprise, that his marriage is essentially over. And my wife's a bitch.
Take my wife, please.
And
wife's a bitch.
yeah. Oh, feel bad for me.
So bad. Oh my God.
And that his marriage is, quote, just in name only, which of course was news to his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It usually fucking is.
Yeah.
There are lots of parallels with Giuliani.
Yeah. I just, whenever there's a story like this, I just think about this scene from when Harry
West Wing.
met Sally.
Oh.
He's never gonna leave her.
You're right. You're right. I know you're right.
I know you're right.
So in the beginning, Fahey seemed to be at peace about becoming a mistress, although this was the first time that she was in a situation like this. But she really had the hots for him, and, you know, she's 28, and he seems like a big deal, and
He's loaded, probably.
yeah.
She's dumb and he's rich.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. Everyone who's 28 is dumb.
Right.
Classic story.
So this was not the case for Capano. In fact, he had cheated on his wife, Kay Ryan, many, many times. And not just the odd fling, but sometimes years-long involved extramarital relationships, including 15 years with a close friend of his wife's, a woman
That is very Scandival of him.
Yes, very.
a woman named Deborah McIntyre, who also happened to be the ex-wife of his former legal partner.
Come on, Debbie Mac.
And I'm pretty sure the relationship with Debbie Mack was ongoing when he started the relationship with Anne-Marie Fahey. And we will get
How
to
many?
it.
Why get
Does he-
boundaries now?
Right.
Yeah.
Does he have kids
He's
from
got
any of
4
these?
kids with his wife, 4
Yeah.
daughters.
Right,
with
but
his-
what about from any of
No.
these extramarital?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Interesting. I'm kind of surprised he doesn't.
Yeah.
What years was this?
This is the 90s.
Okay.
So more on Deborah later. Anne-Marie didn't know about Capano's other adulterous history or about his longtime mistress, Deborah. During the height of their affair, she wrote in her diary, quote, "I am afraid because I'm in love with a man who has a family. I fantasize my life with him all the time. He is very gentle, intelligent, handsome, and interesting." Oh, sweet baby girl.
I'm so glad there's
so
a
was Tom
diary.
Girardi.
Seriously. God.
However, the blush soon came off the rose when Anne-Marie got wise that Capano was never going to leave her, his wife. And so Anne-Marie tries to break things off. She's like, you know what? I want to get married someday and start a family. I don't want to be your mistress forever. She wrote again in the diary, quote, "Our relationship is finished. I know it is my problem and my fault. I told him things that were hidden inside me."
Oh.
Poor gal.
She made the mistake of like meeting
Meeting a man.
and being like an authentic and open, decent, good person to a narcissist,
Classic mistake.
which sucks.
Yeah.
So Tom wasn't having it. She tried to break up with him and he was like, oh, hell no. So he pulled out all the stops to manipulate Fahey into staying. Even though they hadn't been together long, he already knew quite a bit about her and had especially taken note of all of her insecurities.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Yuck. This guy sounds like a fucking piece of shit.
So he knew that she was seeing a therapist and was taking Prozac. And I mean, like, who isn't? But remember, this
Right.
is the mid-1990s. So those were still, like, stigmatized
Much more so than now.
things now would be like, what's the name of your
Okay.
therapist?
Right.
Have you tried
you
Lexapro?
not? Yeah.
Anyway,
You're not on Prozac?
yeah.
You're raw dogging it?
You're raw dogging
You're
life?
raw dogging life? The fuck?
Sounds
Why?
awful.
Wow,
It
that's
really fucking
gross.
does. That's a
We
choice.
actually
I'm
judged.
stigmatizing not being
There
on
was
meds.
one person at Amanda's bachelorette party that wasn't on an SSRI, and we
were like,
her hard.
No, it was
Oh,
it was
him.
Blake.
Oh, I forgot.
We othered him so hard in the hot tub.
We really
were
did.
Like,
We're
what do
like-
you mean you're not on antidepressants?
We were going around saying what pills were on because somebody was like out.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
we
like,
tried
I
to
got
help
you, baby.
you.
I
Do
got
you have any
sertraline 50
Wellbutrin?
milligram.
I was like, oh, this person definitely does.
He didn't have anything to contribute.
No,
Yeah.
you don't belong here.
Yeah,
I'm
Get
shocked.
out
If
of the
if I
hot
know
tub.
You're
if
also
I
the
know
only
anyone
straight
who
guy
needs
at
to
this
be
bachelorette.
medicated, it's Blick.
No shit.
Get medicated, babe. Love you. See you at my wedding.
If you feel alone and are having a hard time, that's
Get medicated.
Really,
If all of your friends are
weird.
ganging up on you in a hot tub, you need
Get
Prozac.
medicated. You need Prozac.
Okay, so
we make him seek medication.
Well, we've basically been doing that since middle school, so it's
I
fine.
need like
Oh,
a
yeah.
waterproof
He's used to it.
prescription pad.
You'd need to become a doctor or a nurse
Just
practitioner
an etch a
first.
sketch.
Oh, I got you, babe.
Take this to the pharmacy. Cranks.
There's a Walgreens attached to this casino.
There was.
I know.
Blorty looked it up.
Couldn't find out how to fucking get to it, but there was.
Okay. So he's like tracking all her insecurities so that he can use them against her. Basically.
Yep.
He also knew that she had.
we did with Blick.
Yeah.
He deserved it though.
He also knew that Fahey had a history with eating disorders, which is very serious. And he knew that she felt guilty for being involved in this affair and that she was taking on a lot of that guilt that fucking he should have felt.
Right.
He's the one married,
yeah.
but she took on a lot of that guilt for him, essentially. And so Capano would love bomb Anne-Marie. He gave her lavish gifts. He took her on vacations and out to dinner, and even like helped her friends with free legal advice because he's this like hotshot attorney. He would call her many times throughout the day and then send like flowers and like long emails, like just all this like love bomby attention stuff. And he would appeal to her dreams of making the relationship quote unquote real
Legitimate, yeah.
Oh.
by
I'll leave my wife, we could get married, that kind of bullshit.
Tomorrow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not a good time right now, but I want to and I'm going to and blah blah blah. Yeah, he would repeat how much he needed her and he would claim to leave his family for her. And she's 28 and she fell for
Yeah.
it for a while. Of
course.
Which, I mean, a lot of people have been in her shoes.
Oh my god. Tale as old as time.
You don't have to be 28 to do that either.
Right.
It's just,
Hell no.
Right.
You're just more susceptible to it when you're fucking
just
28.
manipulation. You can't say whether or not you would be
Right.
fall for that shit.
Right. But then he could turn on a dime and tell me if this sounds familiar, suddenly get mad at her and demand that she give back all the gifts that he'd given her and like call her names and say that she was like just in it for his money. And she was like, dude, like you're the one randomly giving me all this shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was manipulating her.
Right.
So Faye started to tell her friends that she was worried about how controlling Capano was. And eventually she even told her friends that she was worried that he might harm her. So it had escalated to that point. Then part of the cycle of abuse, you know, like shit gets really bad. And then all of a sudden, like the abuser realizes that they're going to lose you. And then they start the love bomb again and get until you're back on the hook. So she falls ill. I couldn't figure out what it was. But she needed some care and he was there for her and he like picked her up from work and took care of her. And so now she's confused because, well, you know, he really does care about me and he's so busy and he took all this time off work to help me and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so for Christmas in 1995, Capano bought Fahey a ticket to Spain, but she refuses the gift.
España.
She's like, I'm done. I can't get sucked into this again. And she was actually seeing someone new, a man named Michael Scanlon. And some points for Scanlon. He is conveniently her same age, which is a win. And perk. He's actually single. He's not married with 4 children.
Another perk.
And the two were fixed up on a blind date by Fahey's boss, the governor. And like, I would totally watch a TLC show called Matchmaker Governor.
Totally. You know everyone in your community, especially if it's like a small town.
Oh my God.
Matchmaker Mayor.
What if it's Matchmaker Mayor in the small town in Minnesota where the mayor is a golden retriever?
Yes.
That I'd watch. My mayor sheepdog. Matchmaker.
My northern Minnesota mayor sheepdog.
Matchmaker.
My Moorhead, Minnesota Matchmaker Mayor. Sheepdog.
My Moorhead matchmaker.
Oh my God, so stupid. So I don't think her boss, the governor, knew about the affair at all because it would have reflected poorly on her and Capano, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So the governor's like, why are you still single? You're great. Here, I know this great guy. And she was like, okay. But then
How long had they been seeing each other at this point? Like years?
a couple years.
Okay.
She was in deep.
Yeah. Okay, so side note, Scanlon, the new boyfriend, was a devout Catholic, and he testified later that their relationship hadn't yet become sexual, but they were starting to see each other. They were hitting it off. It was going well. She was happy. It was moving in the right direction. Yeah. So sex or not, it was this new relationship that prompted Fahey to end things once and for all with Capano, because she's like, I'm done.
I'm going to be with someone who can actually be with me.
He's never going to leave her.
He's never going to leave her. This was awkward timing, though, because Capano had just separated from his wife.
No way.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
Well, whatever. Bye.
Which I still think was manipulation. He probably thought that he could get his wife back, and this was like a Hail Mary to get Anne-Marie back.
Yeah, it sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
Very
What a
convenient.
coincidence.
Yeah, after years.
Yeah, when you know that she's finally like out of it, not into you anymore. And he's like, oh, no, I did leave my wife. So he had moved into like a rental apartment.
I ended my marriage for
Right.
you. How could you possibly do this?
1,000%. So about 6 months later, she doesn't fall for it. About 6 months later, on June 27th, 1996, Anne-Marie agrees to meet up with Capano for dinner in Philadelphia. And this was the last time that she would be seen alive.
God damn it. I was hoping we
knew
wouldn't
that line
get there.
was coming soon.
Witnesses, including the waiter that night, would recall that the pair did not appear to be having a good time. They seemed tense, and Anne-Marie barely touched her food and put most of it in a to-go container. A doggy bag.
Ugh. You barely touched your gabagool.
Yum.
Something wrong, mistress?
Oh, it's so mean.
You've
I'm
barely
sorry.
touched your gabagool.
Yeah.
I'm so hungry.
I'm so
I'm
hungry.
ashamed of myself.
Why? That was great.
So,
Gabagool was never seen again.
this poor woman. So I know, I'm sorry. Somehow, so they go to this awkward as fuck dinner, and things are tense, and she probably was like, agreed to it just to have like some closure, and he probably was like,
and he was probably like fucking harassing her to do this. It's like, fine, I'll meet with you just to get you to shut the fuck up.
right.
The amount of times I've gone to an awkward dinner with a man just to get him to shut the fuck
Right.
up is so many times.
But
Jesus
actually,
Christ.
just
I've
appease them so they fucking leave you alone.
any like straight woman who's anyone who's had to deal with a cis male has gone on one of these dinners just to get a guy to shut the fuck up.
Yep. So somehow Capano convinces Anne-Marie to go back to his apartment after the dinner. And we don't know how. Maybe he said that he had some of her stuff to return. And maybe, you know, he had convinced her to kind of reignite the flame. We probably not from what happens next. But
one last hurrah.
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
he talked her into.
right. Or just just pressured her enough and she wanted him to shut the fuck up. We don't know.
Yep.
Convinces her to go back to his apartment, and she agrees. But as soon as they're inside, Capano comes from behind and shoots her point blank in the head, execution
fuck?
style.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess at least she didn't see it coming and died instantly, I would hope. And it wasn't like a torture situation, but fucking God damn
Just
it.
because she didn't want to be his fucking mistress forever and wanted to live her life. Just she dared to leave him.
Yeah. For whatever reason, she just dared to leave him.
That's so fucked
While
up.
he was still with his wife and first mistress.
Yeah.
Ugh.
How
what a
dare
piece of
she?
shit.
Yeah.
What an asshole attorney.
So then, and here's how we know that this was truly a premeditated murder. He stuffed her into a large igloo, not Guy Fieri Flavor Town, ice cooler.
She would never fit.
No,
That can
thing
only
is
fit like
tiny.
6 cans of beer.
Correct.
So he had bought this like extra large igloo cooler a few days earlier, and that's what he put her body in. She didn't fit completely, though, so he had to break her legs in order to close the lid.
Oh my God. Ugh.
He then left the cooler in the garage of his apartment building overnight.
What a fucking piece of shit.
The next day, Capano called his youngest brother, Gerald, and concocted a story about having murdered someone who was trying to extort him. So it wasn't his fault that he murdered this person, and will you help me dispose of the body?
Oh my God. Okay. No. I'd be like, God.
Yeah.
New phone. Who this?
So Jerry was Tom's go-to brother when he was in trouble with I don't think he'd murdered anyone else. There's no evidence to suggest he'd murdered anyone else. But when he needed to get out of shit, he called Jerry. Plus, Jerry owns a boat. So together, the brothers throw the cooler with Fahey's remains into the Atlantic. And when Jerry later sold his boat, authorities noticed that it was missing 2 anchors. Apparently, though, even the double anchors couldn't make the cooler sink properly. It just was bobbing in the ocean in front of them.
The insulation that the cooler is made out of is buoyant.
It's,
God.
This guy's a fucking idiot.
So either Tom or Jerry, I got conflicting reports in a panic.
Tom or Jerry.
Yeah.
the cat or the mouse.
Funny. In a panic, shot the cooler in an effort to make it take
Fill it
on
with
water
Oh,
to sink.
that's not going to work.
And it didn't work. And then they had to remove the lid and dump her body in the ocean separate from the cooler, but the cooler is still bobbing, lidless.
This is the Three Stooges trying to fucking sink a body.
Tom and Jerry.
Is what this,
Yeah.
yes. This is absolutely ludicrous.
And then they're just well, fuck it. And
ludicrous would be
and
better. at
they
this.
got out of there. They just boated away.
Okay.
Less than a week later, on July 4th, 1996, the cooler was discovered by a pair of fishermen,
Of course it was.
but it was empty. So at first, the fishermen, they kept it, interestingly enough. I think maybe because they saw the bullet hole. They probably wouldn't have even kept it if they hadn't seen the bullet hole.
Yeah.
But they had the cooler. There was no lid and there was no body. Maybe there was blood in it. I'm not sure. But they had it. And at first they didn't necessarily think anything of it. But then later, once Anne-Marie disappeared, it became known in the press that they were looking for a cooler. And the fishermen called the police and they're like, we
Okay.
found this cooler, but it's got a bullet hole and it's missing a lid and there was no body in it. And the investigators knew that was exactly the cooler they were looking for.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Oh,
my gosh. Igloo.
Well, my gosh.
Wasn't igloo just the Wordle word?
Yes, yesterday's word. I got it in 2.
That's pretty amazing.
Good
I had a good
job,
day
guys.
yesterday.
Really proud of you.
Thanks.
Good work.
So Jerry also helped throw out the carpet from Tom's apartment that was covered in bloodstains.
Oh my gosh.
How nice of him.
Conveniently, they were also able to dispose of it in dumpsters owned by another Capano brother, Louis. Thomas even asked Louis to empty the dumpsters outside of the regular schedule for emptying them.
Not sus at all.
No.
Like, okay.
They're a little stinky.
Bro.
Will you just take care of these?
Mhm. So investigators looking into Anne-Marie's disappearance found it strange that Capano redid all of his furniture, paint, and rugs right after having dinner with his ex-girlfriend who freaking disappeared.
It's time for a refresh. That's all.
Time for a refresh in my rental.
God.
I mean, to be fair though,
Yeah.
I refreshed a
But
lot
that's
in my rentals.
you. You're not a man.
A murderer.
Yeah.
Not true.
You
I'm
have
also
a
not a
mental
man.
illness.
You're
That's
right.
just
I'm
you.
mentally ill. I'm not a murderer.
So actually, the first big break in this case was a big charge on Capano's credit card bill for wallpaper and new carpet.
There you go.
So they get a search warrant for his house, and while he had done a pretty thorough cleaning job, forensics still managed to find some of Fahey's blood on a baseboard, which was enough to arrest him.
You can never get it all.
No.
Don't
No.
try.
Mm-mm.
The trial began in October 1998. Beforehand, leaks of Anne-Marie's diary went out to local papers, and I'm assuming that these were sent by the prosecution because they made him look like a piece of shit that he is and mentally tortured her. Which published excerpts like, quote, "I have finally brought closure to Tom Capano. What a controlling, manipulative, insecure, jealous maniac. For 1 whole year, I allowed someone to take control of every decision of my life." Less than 3 months after she wrote those words, she was murdered.
Oh, God.
The trial lasted for 12 weeks. It was like a big sensation in fucking Delaware because they got nothing else going on. I'm sorry I'm ripping on Delaware so much. It's actually I don't actually have any beef with Delaware.
It's probably a beautiful state.
It's just funny.
It is. I have driven through the Dela-Where gap between Pennsylvania and New Jersey many times.
It's fine.
Water gap.
The Dela-Where gap, the Delaware water gap.
Robin takes offense to that phrase.
Well, I didn't name it that.
She's got a dry
It's not my
gap.
fault.
She's got a gap.
She wishes she had a water gap.
Keep rubbing it. She will.
Ew.
my God. So,
Talk about her like that.
the trial, again, lasted for 12 weeks, and I think you're going to really get a kick out of the defense's strategy.
Oh, no.
What do you think they could have possibly tried to use to get him off of a premeditated murder charge?
He was jealous of her gabagool.
That would be premeditated.
It'd be a crime of passion.
I guess.
Right? You'd think, like, oh, okay, it was he didn't the gun went off, and you know,
They both reached for the gun.
Right.
I don't know what they could use for a back of the head execution style murder in his home.
that he then thoroughly covered up. Well, this is what they went with.
Oh,
and
God.
apparently it was completely at his insisting, and all of his lawyers fucking hated him and were like, this is not going to work. But he's an attorney, so he knew better. They actually tried to claim that Capano's other mistress, Deborah McIntyre,
Not
had-
Debbie Mackey.
had burst into the apartment in a jealous rage and shot
And
Fahey
redecorated.
by accident. Redecorated.
Oh my God.
Shot her by accident, but
Yeah.
in a jealous rage.
Right.
So she meant to shoot him.
It wasn't
But
me.
she
It was a crime of passion. It was an accident. It wasn't me.
Oh, yes, they both reached for the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun. Oh, yes, they both reached for
those
the gun.
are, those
for
are
the gun.
3 bullshit excuses. It wasn't me. It was a crime of passion, and it was an accident.
Yep.
Cool. Got it.
Amazing.
That-
I mean, the balls.
Yeah.
The balls to sit in your own fucking murder trial and accuse another person that you fucked over.
Mm-hmm. So McIntyre obviously denied this, and as payback for having been strung along for 15 years by Tom, then cheated on, and finally wrongfully accused of murder, Deborah quickly turned state's witness.
Good girl.
Oh, my God.
Good girl.
She said
Good job, Debbie.
he'd told her that his, quote, life was in danger. So he concocted, like, another story to tell her before the murder.
Hey, sorry, bye.
And that he needed a gun for protection, but for some reason, she needed to be the one to buy the gun for him.
Oh, okay.
Which
I get it.
which was a 22 caliber Beretta pistol. It also kind of hints that he maybe was premeditating blaming her if, like, he got caught. That he had her buy the gun. Also his brother Jerry turned and became a witness for the prosecution.
I love that for Jerry. Good job, Jerry. You go, Glen Coco.
Yeah.
Go, Jer.
Jer Binks.
The prosecutor, Colm F. Connolly, was just 33 years old at the time and had never tried a murder case before, but he did a good job. Tom, ever the narcissist, loathed the prosecutor and thought that this was all, like, personal and would erupt throughout the trial with verbal outbursts and then took a hit out on the proseter.
Jesus Christ. Fucking no chill from this guy. None. Zero chill.
So lots of other sensational shit happened at the trial. One of Capano's original defense attorneys, Joseph Hurley, quit suddenly just 6 months before the trial was set to start. And he later said that he'd had a moment of, quote, reflection and moral clarity while attending a funeral mass. Quote, I think I was probably facing the reality that Capano was, in fact, guilty of premeditated murder. So he bounced. And the defense attorneys who remained fucking hated their client. One even said publicly that his was the most frustrating case he'd ever worked on in his long career.
Oh, my God.
And said to the press, quote, I made a bad mistake in taking a lawyer for a client.
Oh, no.
You did.
I mean, you definitely did.
So interestingly, the jury was split at first until one juror, Aaron Riley Lee, was curious about how a body would fit into the cooler. And Capano had tried to claim at trial that he, like, yes, he put Anne-Marie's body in the cooler, but again, like...
It's because he was freaking out. He's doing the Robert Durst thing.
Yeah.
I cut him up and put him in bags and threw him in the ocean, but...
I didn't kill him.
It was self-defense.
It's because I killed him in self-defense and I was scared and I'm rich and you're just going to let me do whatever the fuck I want.
Right. So Capano was like, okay, yeah, I put her in the cooler and I dumped the cooler in the ocean, but I didn't kill her and I didn't break her bones to fit her in the cooler because he didn't want to be seen as, like,
a
callous.
monster.
Yeah, fucking monster.
Even like a big Yeti cooler, you couldn't fit an adult woman in.
No.
And igloo coolers aren't that big.
Right.
No.
Especially in the mid-90s. I feel like they make much bigger coolers now than they used to.
This
Absolutely.
is wild. This is so gross.
So this juror was curious about it. And I think she was, like, roughly the same size as Anne-Marie. And so the jury actually tried to fit this juror into an identical cooler.
The juror?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean,
That
rural
shouldn't be
Delaware
allowed.
juror.
Well, she, like, volunteered
The curious
for it,
juror.
but then it, like, really affected her. So they
Yeah.
realized in this process of trying to fit her into this cooler that it would not have been possible without breaking the bones on purpose.
Oh my God.
So again, the trauma of this experiment really affected Lee, and it helped convince her and the rest of the jurors that Capano was guilty and that this was probably fucking premeditated because he went out and bought the fucking cooler.
Jesus.
So up to the end, Capano really thought that his charm meant that he would get off scot-free, but he severely misjudged how he was perceived. He also did the classic narcissist of, like, insisting on testifying. when all of his lawyers were like, do not fucking get on that stand. And he was...
And he's a lawyer. He should have known better. It never goes well.
But narcissists can't help it. They genuinely think that everyone is going to always fall for their shit.
Oh, yeah.
One of his disillusioned defense attorneys perhaps summed him up best. Quote, he could be charming and affable when he wanted to be, but when Tom did not get what he wanted, when he wanted it, his mind closed and it was like a steel trap. And he would be ruthless in terms of getting what he wanted. He had this sense that everyone owed him fealty or loyalty.
Yeah.
So in 1999, Thomas Capano, Esquire, was convicted of first-degree murder without a body or a weapon. And this was the first time that this has ever happened in the state of Delaware. With a vote of 11-1, the jury recommended the death sentence, and he was sentenced to death by lethal injection. But he caught a lucky break when the Supreme Court later ruled that death sentences had to be unanimous. So because there was that one holdout juror, his death sentence was overturned, but not his conviction.
Yep. So he still went away.
Yeah. So
Was the holdout juror the cooler one?
no, I don't know who it was. Or maybe, but I don't know who it was. And in 2006, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole, and he lost all of his appeals and stuff. So still, years of isolation on death row took its toll, and Capano gained a lot of weight in prison, and his health started to go downhill, and he died in his sleep in 2011 of cardiac arrest due to cardiovascular disease. And
Bye, bitch.
Bye-bye.
Cripes.
Bye-bye. Bye. Fuck you. Hate you. Fuck you.
Fuck you, you killed this young woman just because she was moving on from you. You wanted a wife and multiple mistresses at the same time and no consequences.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's
Got it.
my case.
Okay.
Wow. That's
cute.
wild.
Yeah, that's
Damn.
crazy.
I'll never look at an igloo cooler the same.
Well done.
I'll never try to sink an igloo cooler either.
Yeah, doesn't work, even if you shoot it and rip the lid off.
Good to
Point
know.
of keeping her in the cooler. Whatever.
Nothing.
Things we all
She
fucking
ended up,
knew.
I mean, the cooler was found and her body was not
She
found.
wasn't.
So, you know. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
wild.
Well, good job. That was... What an asshole.
Yeah.
Are you ready for my segment?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't go anywhere near where you went.
Okay.
So this will be a relief. I've been liking my shallow dives. My ADHD really, likes to do multiple little sprinkles. So that's what I did today.
A variety.
A variety. So I have a couple shorties for you this week because there are, shocker, a lot of scumbag lawyers out there.
A lot.
A lot. I had to open this first case today with this quote from abovethelaw.com because it's too perfect.
Because no one is above the
Of
law. At potatoskinreviews.com.
Correct. Quote,
My new favorite Instagram account.
your new lover. Quote, a lawyer in Georgia may be more interested in getting serviced pro boner than offering pro bono services.
Ish.
So gross. I'm talking about Michael Stewart Winner, who is anything but, and you can look up at a picture of him on the drive. He is foul.
Michael Stewart Wiener.
Winner.
Ew.
Winner. He doesn't even get the honor of being called Wiener.
Oh.
Which one is he?
The one labeled Michael Stewart Winner. Should be labeled.
Oh.
So, Michael was a defense attorney in the great state of Georgia. And as in many states, counsel, it's like defense counsel is often, or I guess any counsel, is like required to complete a certain number of pro bono hours to maintain the ethical obligations of their license. So, Winner, who practiced in Cobb County, Georgia, was accused in 2012 of offering his pro bono services in exchange for private peep shows from his female clients serving time.
Cool.
Oh, God.
He would meet
No power dynamic there.
Exactly. He would meet them in the private attorney-client rooms at the Cobb County Jail, promising them free legal representation and prescription drugs in exchange for a look at their boobies and promises of sex once they got out of jail.
Ish.
Oh,
Quote,
my God.
Winner provided female inmates at the jail with prescription drugs and legal help in exchange for the women lifting up their tops to expose their breasts, which Winner would watch from the other side of a glass partition. According to Cobb County Sheriff Neil Warren. He said the inmates also promised Winner sex when they were released from jail. Warren said the number of inmates that Winner made these exchanges with was still under investigation. While he said it was more than one, it was not widespread, is what this guy claims, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Just
He's
the
also-
ones that I wanted to see the tits of.
Pretty much.
Yeah. The ones with good racks.
Yep. He's also accused of exposing himself to at least one female inmate.
You don't say.
You don't say. He
It's a
faces...
slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope. He faces felony charges to the tune of 4 counts of conspiracy to commit a crime, 3 counts of unlawful trading with inmates, 1 count of a violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, and 1 count of, quote, use of communications facilities to violate provisions prohibited. So, like, using that room to flash dong and ask
deal
for
drugs.
tits and deal drugs.
Flash dong.
Yeah.
Ew. Oh my
He was
God.
brought to jail and held on $10,000 bond, which he paid. And while I cannot find follow-up on a verdict in this case, he did staunchly deny these allegations. He said in an interview, quote, sex isn't going to buy me dinner. I mean, I basically work for money.
What?
He's an idiot. It's basically his way of saying, like,
I couldn't have done this because I need
I
to
need the
get
money. yeah, like, why would I do
Like,
this?
why would I profit off of this?
Right. I can't profit off of asking these women to flash me their boobs. Like, I need to pay to eat, basically.
Boobs don't pay my bills.
Yeah. He said he believes his reputation for pursuing police corruption matters is behind the charges and called the claim that he gave inmates contraband, quote, just plain false.
Look at his total lack of upper lip.
Yeah, he's foul. He's disgusting.
Also, he has one of
Totally gone.
It's
he
gone.
has one of those noses that like you know exactly what his penis looks like.
For sure.
Yeah, it's hooked.
It looks like his nose.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm not loving it. Winner admitted that he might flirt with female inmates on occasion, but pointed out that he is single and that flirting is not illegal. So yeah, he's guilty. I did look up his status in the state of Georgia, and the State Bar of Georgia website indicated he does not have public discipline on record, but is no longer able to practice law in the state due to non-payment of license fees.
Well, he wasn't getting paid because he was doing too many
Boobs don't pay
Pro-
license
exactly.
bills.
pro boobie,
Pro
bono,
boner.
pro boner.
So, sucks to suck, Winner. This next guy is either awful or brilliant or both. I still can't decide. Well, he is terrible. He's awful, but no, he's just awful.
Okay.
When
she decided.
Yeah,
she got
I
there.
just decided, thinking ahead about
She
what
had
I'm
to
about
talk
to
it
tell
out.
you. I had to verbally process. So when you need to hire a divorce attorney, you want a shark, you know?
Hmm.
And Minnesota's own Thomas Lowe was one hell of a shark till he got shut down for sharking too close to the sun.
Oh,
So, like, we get it. Your time is valuable. You got to bill us for it. But this is a next level. It should come as no surprise that Thomas Lowe is from Egan, where he was practicing law as he had done in several states since the 1980s. At the age of 58, a woman came into his office needing representation for her divorce. To his surprise, she was an old friend from his days in Valley City, North Dakota, so he was thrilled to represent her. Things got a little more than legal, however, when days later he's on the phone with her getting information on the details of her marriage and their path to divorce. As the conversation went on, he started asking intimate questions about her sex life, commenting on her appearance, and asking if she was interested in sex with him.
sex.
Sex. Shockingly, she was.
Oh, no.
I mean, consent is key. So, like, these two consenting adults, although there is definitely a power imbalance here, start hooking up on a regular basis. The affair started in August of 2021 and lasted until March of the same year. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Tom was married at the time.
Yeah, always.
So maybe guilt caught up with him, but he decided to end the affair and terminate his contract with his client as her lawyer. But not before submitting his outstanding bills to his client, which boldly included all of their sexual rendezvous, coding the time as meetings or drafting memos.
Well, yeah, he had to explain to his firm and to his wife where
All
he was
this time I
going.
was spending.
It was a meeting.
They were business lunches.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is balls.
The charges came to about $1,000 just for the sex.
And if you break it down by sex act, he is a very low paid escort.
That's actually...
Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, this is from abovethelaw.com. Quote, on September 22nd, 2011, Lowe billed his client $50 for meeting and revising divorce petition while they were really meeting at a Holiday Inn Express hotel.
I was going to say Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot.
And getting their swerve on. It was literally a Holiday Inn Express.
Hotel?
Well...
Oh my God.
So they said that's 12 minutes total. So $50 for 12 minutes. It's pretty,
Including foreplay.
yeah.
12 minutes.
So he's
total.
kind of an
Honey,
expensive
you got
escort.
screwed.
$50 for 12 minutes. My gosh.
Wow.
And I don't
pretty
think they
run-of-the-mill.
were. So it was $1,000. Oh yeah, it was $1,000 billed just for the set, like that they could link just to the sex rendezvous that were
Right.
apparently averaging about 12 minutes a pop. So he
What
was definitely
forensic
charging a lot of money.
accountant broke this down?
Well,
I mean,
it's
but
funny
they
that
saw
you
each
asked.
other between August and March. Even if you even go monthly, he's low paid.
Yeah, but you know, on top of whatever else
Kenyon's
he was,
died on this hill.
on top of whatever else
I'll
he was
make a
charging
chart.
her, do it.
I'll make a spreadsheet.
In the wake of their affair ending and all of her own mental health stuff, this woman made an attempt on her own life, which led to a hospital stay, wherein she disclosed the affair to her medical care team. This disclosure led to an investigation into Lowe, and from the Pioneer Press, quote, he initially denied much of it, but now unconditionally admits the allegations. Back to a coroner. This was not his first infraction either. He had a few previous citations for, quote, issues of decorum, you don't say, and was placed on probation in 1997 for using cocaine and being involved in purchasing the drug from a client.
He's just a party animal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The outcome of all of this, according to cracked.com, was the quote, Minnesota Supreme Court stepped in and forever forbade this misanthrope from practicing law again. Forever in this case, meaning for 15 months. After which, Lowe could apply to be reinstated, provided he successfully completes the professional responsibility portion of the bar exam again.
Oh, you're saying I shouldn't buy Coke from my clients and then
Oh.
fuck them and bill them for the
Bill
fucking?
them for the sex, bill them for the Holiday Inn
Oh,
Express,
I just
the
didn't
12
know that.
minutes.
Lesson
I just needed an orientation class.
Gal.
Some clarification on that.
Oh, no.
Do you have pamphlets? You
Yeah,
can lay out
I
the
need
rules?
all the materials.
Some literature.
Some
Yeah.
literature.
I literally need some literature. So he had kept his mouth shut about all of this, like not responding to any requests for comment until over a year after the incident, when our favorite scumbag Nancy Grace picked up the story. She managed to get through to him, and his response was iconic. Quote, I have no idea why you think this is a story 14 months after the press release went out. It's not headline news, in my opinion, and that's part of the reason no one watches CNN. And to be fair, Nancy and her team definitely went extra on this story. Like, they did one of those scenes where
What
they're
else
like,
is new?
I know, but it wasn't like a classic Nancy Grace pen. It was like a TMZ newsroom with all the TVs and everyone's like sitting around chatting.
What a weird.
Very weird departure.
Like a whole
Choice.
panel.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like, you know those scenes
Maybe
in
she
TMZ
had like
where-
a personal vendetta. Like maybe she, like one of the
No, I think it
producers-
was just a boring news day and they didn't have any other fucking stories. And this was like something in the can is really what I think it was. And they did one of those things where they're all like sitting around in the office, like peeking over cubicles, talking
Speculating.
about this story like they do on TMZ.
Yep.
So they even made a lower third ticker with a hashtag that read hashtag
Potato
billed
skin
for
reviews.
sex.
Sorry, I had to.
You did.
What did it say?
Build for sex. Anyway, next.
Build first.
Yeah, they were bored that day. My God.
I want to finish up with less of an asshole, though. Like, some of the ethics of his tactics have been called into question for a long time. But this article, I just found this guy super fucking fascinating, and I'd never heard of him before. He is one of the most, like, famously over-the-top lawyers in American history. His name is Melvin C. Belli. And he is
Belli?
Belli. And he is considered, quote, the king of torts.
Like chocolate tort?
No, we will get to it.
No.
This guy is fucking iconic, and I'm pretty sure he at least partially inspired the character of Saul Goodman, but like Melvin was a lot less blatantly corrupt and like fucked up. So this is an article written for SpinellaLaw.com by another lawyer who was writing about this lawyer who has since passed away. Quote, in the course of over 60 years of practice as a San Francisco-based lawyer, Melvin M. Belli became the most famous lawyer in America involved in its most famous cases. When he died at the age of 88 in 1996, he had won over $500 million in civil judgments, which is much more in today's dollars, obviously. That's $500 million in 96.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
And represented a roster of clients from Muhammad Ali to the Rolling Stones. What made Belli special was his profound skill and renown as a trial lawyer, similar to an English barrister who makes his living entirely in the courtroom in the prosecution of civil cases, as well as the defense of citizens accused of crime. Belli was famously known as the King of Torts, this is to explain to Lucy, a title bestowed upon him in a 1954 Time magazine article. The word tort is a French word meaning civil wrongs as opposed to criminal matters, which became the center of Belli's practice. So, like, a lot of times in legal jargon, they'll refer to more civil crimes, not criminal crimes, as torts, T-O-R-T-S.
Got it.
So, namely, the prosecution of powerful actors such as corporations and government officials accused of negligent or reckless conduct. Prior to Belli, tort cases, and as incredible as it now seems, were not worth much of a lawyer's time and effort at all. So, like, these were not cases that were ever sought out. You know, now we see, like, we're bombarded with, like, mesothelioma fucking ads and shit, but, like, that was not a lawyer's bread and butter at all back in the day. And this is the guy who, like, made those
He was like,
profitable.
oh, I can do this, and I'm going to win $500 million in judgments.
Exactly.
Wow.
So he showed all lawyers who followed him how to win these cases in the courtroom. The most important task in every case, in Belli's view, was to make use of demonstrative evidence to show a jury the way to a successful verdict, and never to tell them anything that could be shown instead. So this makes me think of the fucking cooler.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to get in the cooler and show you what you would have had to have done to that woman.
Absolutely. It is way more effective. It's
way more effective.
In, like, speeches and stuff and telling stories, like, you have to, like, paint a picture. You can't just
show, don't
It's
tell.
why
Show,
we
don't
do
tell.
slideshows at live shows.
Yeah, because it
We
can
have very
actually
little else going on.
make some of this shit funny when it's not funny.
Exactly.
Wind crime.
Yeah.
So this was at a time when Belli's most basic illustrative tools, such as blackboards and perfectly scaled models, were either not used or completely discouraged in the courtroom. So he was like a total trailblazer, and this was like very much frowned upon.
He's
it was
a
like
visual
you're making it
learner.
a circus. Yeah.
I love it.
He's Kenyon's hero.
I
He's
love
Kenny's
it.
hero. In many of his cases, Belli required a moving van to deliver his exhibits to the courtroom. That's how big they were.
I kind of love this.
It's so good. In his first legal success, where he sued a cable car company on behalf of a grip man, he reconstructed the cable car intersection in the courtroom along with the defective gearbox and chain.
Good.
Yep. In another case,
He should work for Hollywood.
he should. This part's my favorite. This is like why I decided to talk about this guy. In another case involving a claim against a railroad for amputation of a leg, Belli was told the loss of a leg was no big deal given the availability of artificial limbs.
That
When
sounds
Belli-
like what's her name on the Supreme Court, who's like, well, forced pregnancy doesn't sound like
It's not that
too
bad.
much of a undue burden.
Yeah.
God.
When Belli stood to make his closing argument, he carried with him a leg-shaped package wrapped in like butcher paper, which had sat mysteriously.
Very Aviva.
Yep. Which had sat mysteriously next to him throughout the entire trial. This is a quote from his autobiography. So he's standing up to make his closing argument and he's holding this leg-shaped package and he says, quote, I took my time. I plucked at the knots in the string. They had been tied with like twine.
So he didn't have to say a word, and the
It
whole
just sat there.
trial, everyone's staring at it, wondering that
What
lived
is-
rent-free in the jury's head.
And the jury was wondering if it was actually his client's amputated, injured leg. That's what they thought it was the whole time. And he just let them think that. Said, I carefully undid each knot, then slowly peeled off the butcher paper. Underneath another layer of the same papers, I took a half minute to loosen that. When I had milked that moment for all it was worth, I turned to the jury, and with a sudden, almost violent move, I held what I had aloft.
Behold!
The defense attorney started to cry out his objection, but then fell silent. I was simply holding up Catherine's artificial limb with all its lacing, glistening metal joints, strappy suction cups, and a new plastic shaft. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I said, moving over to the jury box, this is what my pretty young client, these are different times, will wear for the rest of her life. Take it. And I dumped it in the lap of the first juror.
A little bit of ableism. Like you said, it was different times. Also,
Different times. My dad would have loved
so
this, though.
Aviva. It was Aviva, right?
The
With
defense didn't have a leg to stand on.
From Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Totally. It wasn't her, but
Wow.
the jury came back shortly after with a large verdict.
Oh my God.
The most common word used to describe Belli was flamboyant, a striking figure in Seville Row suits, European boots. There's pictures of him on the drive. He is fabulous. Cruising along the San Francisco streets in his gold Rolls Royce, he was not one to be ignored. Belli himself would not deny this. In his words, even a priest needed to ring the bell in order to fill the church.
He has like patent leather cowboy boots.
In court. That was like a courtroom outfit.
Oh my God, his glasses.
Whenever he won a big case, he would run the Jolly Roger, the skull and crossbones flag, up the flagpole in his iconic San Francisco office building located in the Barbary Coast District, a brothel during the gold rush era, according to Belli.
I want to have a flag that just tells people if I'm having a good day or
If
not.
I won or not. Yeah.
It's like the twins W flag.
It
or not the
totally
twins,
is.
The Cubs.
Or the
I
king
think.
in Norway that lets you know with a special flag when he's home in his castle because they have no fucking crime there.
Oh my God.
Even in the last decades of his 60-year career, he secured huge verdicts and settlements against Dow Corning for defective silicone breast implants, against the Navy on behalf of women alleging sexual harassment during the Tallahassee conventions in 1990 and 91,
Hell yeah.
against Korean Airlines for the Flight 007 crash, the Kansas City Hyatt walkway disaster. I think they had like a skyway or something collapse, like injured and killed a bunch of
Shit.
people.
Jesus Christ.
The Las Vegas MGM Grand Hotel fire, the Benedictine birth defect cases, the Bhopal Union Carbide disaster, and the regime of Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos, where he recovered the staggering sum of $2 billion for citizens who were killed or tortured. His firm did all of that.
He practiced law in the Philippines also.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Have to
They
prove standing in the U.S.
correct.
So if a victim is in the U.S., then you can
Yeah.
do it.
For
Exactly.
everyone?
No, but
I don't know.
any of the
I'm not
victims
an
who were in the
attorney.
U.S. Yeah.
Wow.
Above all, Belli was a trial lawyer who elevated his profession as a pathfinder who made new law. To appreciate the enormity of his achievement, he did battle at a time when the idea of an individual bringing suit against a large corporation was novel territory. Most notable was his success in the landmark case of Escala versus Coca-Cola Bottling Co., involving injuries suffered by a restaurant manager resulting from an exploding Coke bottle.
Yeah.
I should have sued for that Dr. Pepper can that exploded and sprayed the face of the convenience store worker.
You shoulda.
Would you have sued or would they have
For
sued?
emotional distress.
Combine your powers. The California Supreme Court ruled after that, because of this trial, that manufacturers had a duty to all consumers injured by a defective product, not just a direct purchaser. Most importantly, negligence by the defendant need not be proven. So he made like huge advances, at least in California, on laws like that.
He's like the P.T. Barnum of the court system.
Yeah.
He's really actually kind of amazing.
I think I love him.
I do too.
Mr. Belli.
For myself, the writer, who is also a lawyer, Belli's greatest case and the truest measure of his stature as an American trial lawyer was his defense of Jack Ruby. Even in this post-O.J. Simpson era, it was easily the most sensational murder trial of all times.
I don't know
This
what
was the
that
trial... I'm about to tell you. This was the trial of a man who shot and killed the alleged assassin of a beloved president on national TV with millions of witnesses. So he shot...
Lee Harvey Oswald.
who had killed JFK,
right.
he represented Jack Ruby in Dallas, and it almost ruined his career.
Wow.
And there are photos of Jack Ruby fucking shooting Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right.
Yep.
So, like, that's
An
good luck.
interesting case to pick, but
Yeah.
he liked
Well,
the
I mean,
limelight.
He liked the limelight, but I think there was other stuff that I cut from this because I had already included so much, but he was like talking about how Jack Ruby was kind of being made a scapegoat for like everything, that all the pain that the entire country was feeling about Oswald killing the president. And then that was like trickling down to Jack Ruby, who like, yes, he killed him, but he didn't deserve to be the living scapegoat now.
He didn't kill JFK.
He didn't kill JFK.
Right.
Well, people were really fucking pissed because then Lee Harvey Oswald
Didn't
wasn't
face
able
justice.
to stand
Correct.
trial
He wasn't able to
because
stand
he
trial.
was fucking shot. So people were way pissed at Jack Ruby.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So he said, quote, in 1963, I had reached a pinnacle in the law. And then all of a sudden, I was plunged into a whirlpool of hatred from which I have never completely emerged. My crime was daring to defend Jack Ruby, killer of the man officially designated as the assassin of President John F. Kennedy. In the public's mind, I might just as well have been defending Lee Harvey Oswald. End quote. Belli was a warrior until at 88, he ended his career and then died, like, basically the same year. Like, he was basically practicing law until his death.
Wow. It's like Kenyon's mom's pregnancy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But
It's the same.
he, unlike Kenyon's mom, he spent a little too lavishly Rolls Royce and depended on his affinity for winning cases to like pay those bills. And he was forced.
He had to keep working.
He had to keep working, and he was forced to declare bankruptcy when Dow Corning denied him his $200 million class action verdict by themselves declaring bankruptcy. So, like, they had won, but Dow Corning couldn't pay.
And he
So
he was planning to get that big windfall.
Exactly. So he declared he died pretty much penniless, but with a lot of great outfits.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a civil rights lawyer, I think often of Belli's lawsuit at the end of his career on behalf of 3 Black Soledad inmates murdered by prison guards. He won this impossible case in front of an all-white jury at a time when these cases were never even brought.
Wow.
It's like he did a lot of amazing things with his career. He wasn't just like, you know, a class action mesothelioma showman. He actually also was an extremely talented lawyer, and
Did
he
he
used his legal
defend
skills.
Muhammad Ali when Muhammad Ali was facing legal ramifications for being a conscientious objector? Is that when
I'm not sure which trial
Okay.
it was. I didn't look, but
Yeah.
I'm sure Google will tell you.
Okay.
And one more tidbit about this guy in case his fucking entire existence isn't amazing enough. He was fucking written to by the Zodiac killer.
Cool.
So I have-
asking for his legal help.
I mean, I have the letter right here. So the Zodiac wrote, "Dear Melvin, this is the Zodiac speaking. I wish you a happy Christmas. This one thing I ask of you
Christmas
is
with
this."
2 S's. Just saying.
Yep.
Christmas.
Christmas, correct. This one thing I ask of you is this. Please help me. I cannot reach out for help because of this thing in me won't let me. I am finding it extremely difficult to hold it in check. I am afraid I will lose control again and take my 9th and possibly 10th victim. Please help me. I am drowning. At the moment, the children are safe from the bomb because it is so massive to dig in, and the trigger mech requires much work to get it adjusted just right.
Much work.
Exactly.
It does.
But if I hold back too long from number 9, I will lose all control of myself and set the bomb up. Please help me. I cannot remain in control for much longer.
Ooh.
So Melvin's been, he lived in his 88 years. He fucking saw some shit.
Imagine him at a cocktail party.
Oh my God. He'd be my absolute favorite person to chat with. Now, I feel like I have a new answer for that party question, like living or dead. Who would you want to invite to a dinner party? It's fucking
Melvin
Belli.
Melvin
Anyway,
Belli.
those are my little dives today.
Wow.
Isn't he cool?
He's cool. He's not an asshole attorney.
Yeah. I mean, he was a
he's
misogynist,
loud.
but it was the 60s.
Yeah.
The leg thing was
Amazing.
pretty
My dad would have loved it.
Yeah.
Plopped it in like the jury foreman's lap.
Jesus Christ.
The balls.
Yeah.
So insane.
I can just so picture him gingerly taking apart the
Really
butcher
milking
paper. Milking it. God
And
bless him.
And the other side was like, that's a fucking leg.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love it. Cool.
Anyway,
Cool.
that's my case.
Well, thank you.
Great
and
job.
thank you to our fan pickers, Megan Williamson and Jessica Southwick.
yeah.
Jessica.
Yeah. Cool.
This was
Good
a great
choice.
topic. Loved it.
I loved it and hated it and loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. All right. Cool. Good job. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.